perfect example right now. We're training with Virgil Ortiz, 21-0 with 21 knockouts. We don't train him because we know he's gonna knock everybody out. We train him in case he has to go the distance.
Talk about Mexican Independence Day. We could call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard from the champ himself, knocking out the competition.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I'm like our guest, former world champion, and now champion trainer of the world, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Garcia. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice, Robert.
Hey, Richard, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I had to go through the archives of clothes today. I had to make sure that, that I look proper, that I'm wearing the right thing right here.
That's right.
Actually, this is the old school one that I got from Al. Remember Big Al?
Yeah, that's the
yeah, with Brian
right.
Lua and Isidro. And actually, he didn't give it to me. I just took it out the box, man. I got to make sure I get it. I got to make sure I rock it properly. Last time I had on some wild card things, and Charles Trimley, Dr. Charles Trimley, he texted me and said, "Bro, I got to get you some gear." I said, "Yeah, you do, man. You do." He was, "Let me take care of you."
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
No, nothing against any other gym. Everybody works hard. Everybody tries their best. Everybody does their best. So, we got to give credit to everybody.
Absolutely. And, I'm just trying to show some love every now and then, man, as best I can. And you'll be surprised sometimes if you don't give a compliment or if somebody waves at you and you didn't see them because the sun's in your eyes, and some people take it to heart, man. They really do. I think we had a discussion that one time. I walked in your gym and someone waved at me, and I didn't even see them because I was setting up for the podcast, and I couldn't recognize a certain fighter because he had headgear on. And, they, long story short,
right.
We don't talk anymore, but it's all good, man. But I'm talking about this gym right here. I'm talking about this academy. Once a vision, now reality, man. And speaking of that, before we jump anything, Robert, let's talk about, first of all, congratulations on the grand opening of your store. Talk to us about it, man.
Well, you know what? It was something different. I wanted to try other stuff. I know we've been good, doing good in boxing for the past 15, going on 20 years, training fighters and starting early in the 2000s. It was just a process, but we got to a point where we've had some good fighters, solid fights, big names. But it's up and down with boxing. Sometimes you're up there, sometimes you don't have any of those big fights. So I tested myself with a partner that I have, Ivan Roman, and we decided to open up a meat market. He already owns a couple of restaurants in the Riverside area. So we're like, what? I think this is gonna be something like just a new challenge. And so far it's doing good, man. So far the numbers are going up and getting better and better by the month, by the weeks. Every time it's getting better and better. So we've been open for about 8 months already, and everything's going as planned.
Well, you got to know, Robert, a meat market goes hand in hand with boxing. It really does. I mean, who doesn't barbecue during a big fight? Big fight's coming up. Getting the vegetables, getting the cold beer that they need, getting everything that's fresh there. And, just knowing that, hey, I'm part of it because I went to Robert Garcia's meat market, and I feel like it, gave me a little extra spice on my carne, or gave me a little boost in everything that shows about. Especially if you started giving out posters, man, and they put them up in their house, giving back, once they buy some certain pounds of meat or something. But it goes hand in hand, as you know, because everybody loves to barbecue. It's summertime, and I could just see it going through the roof, and I'm hearing nothing but good things about it. I've been watching the advertisement, I've been watching the commercials, and talked to some people there, and they said, hey, it's doing very well.
Yeah, that's what we're getting nothing but good response from the locals, the people, the fans that go by the meet. Everybody's really liking it, and we're doing a lot of stuff. Giving out Dodger tickets. We're giving out stuff like that. Father's Day, Mother's Day. So we're trying to get the people, the locals involved. That way they get to try it, and once one tries it, tells another one, and the other one tells the other one, and that's the way it's to grow a business. So far it's been doing good. It's been going well. We excited to be partners, and so far it's doing good.
Well, I tell you this: the next time you have some kind of big organization there, man, and or like when you bring fighters down there to meet and greets, man, we got to set up the podcast down there, man. We got to make it happen down there.
Correct. That'd be nice.
Definitely.
Definitely.
And I'm loving that logo, Robert. I mean, who put it together? We'll give him a shout out. And do you have shirts of your meat market?
You know what? We've made some shirts, some hats. My friend and I, we came up with that idea. El Campeón meat market, and we got like the WBC belt with obviously with all the animals and stuff from a meat
Oh,
market,
there you go.
and all the countries, the flags also. So it kind of looks like the WBC belt, but obviously turned into a meat market with a cow, with a chicken, stuff like that. So it's fun. People seem to be getting the attention of it. People asking for the hats, people asking for the shirts. So it's nice.
Well, we're going to do something real. We're going to throw it out there, man. See if it works or not. We're going to do the meat market challenge. Everybody on Instagram, everybody on Twitter, everybody on TikTok. Make sure you stop by Robert Garcia's meat market, man. Stop by, whether you're a celebrity, a boxer, or a who's who, or just a regular person, and say, hey, I'm here at Robert Garcia's meat market. Make sure you get down here and get fed. And we'll start
That
it
would be
going,
nice,
man.
definitely. Oh yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Yeah, it's plus it's easy right off the freeway, off the 60. So they can't miss it.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Well, let's get down to business, Robert. This is fight week, my man.
Correct.
A very big fight. And you've had other champions that you've trained, they become champions. But you take this one personal when it comes to Joshua Franco and Bam Rodriguez, because they weren't nurtured and then they became no, you got them from the mud, brother. From the mud all the way up, raised them, knew them as kids, as amateurs, and to see them progress. And now the whole world is starting to see exactly in Bam Rodriguez what you already knew.
Yeah, that's what makes this sport so good, so great. When especially when it comes to somebody like me. Somebody that met these kids when they were 12, 13. Bam was like 10 when I met him. And little by little, they started joining my camp. Bam was 15 when he started coming to camps as an amateur. So it feels really wow, really good. Even though, like I said earlier, boxing has ups and downs, but having kids like Franco and Bam, makes it more interesting. Makes us not want to quit, not to give up, makes us want to try even harder with the rest of the younger fighters that we have, because we have a group of young fighters that are going to be there, as good as Bam. I said it with Bam since he was 15, coming to my gym. I said this kid's going to be special, and I wasn't wrong. And there's a few in my gym that I could say the same thing about right now. And I know that sooner than later the world's going to start knowing who they are.
I remember walking into your gym the first time that I met him, and I was just talking, and you said, "Hey, Rich, you want to go talk to those brothers right there?" He goes, "Bam just won," and then you're talking about Joshua Franco. He goes, "These guys are going to be champions." And I remember you said that. I went down there in my old school phone recorder, and years back, one of the first times that I've walked in your gym, and when I met them, they were very pleasant, very kind, well mannered, very quiet, and I used to get them mixed up. I used to get Bam and Joshua mixed up,
Right.
and yeah, but I remember meeting them, and
That
you
their
prophesied and said they
parents,
would be
dad,
champions.
yeah, dad and mom did a great job. Raised two great kids. They're very respectful, very loyal, very honest, and they don't. They have all the trust in me. They're never questioning how the negotiations are going. They never question who they're even fighting, because they leave it all up to me, and they're happy. They're happy. They're part of the family. The kids, both fighters, the dad, the brothers, they all became like family. So like you said earlier, that's the best feeling. When you have kids that you started, from their pro debut to one day becoming world champions. That's really really one of the best moments out there, with when you start a fighter in the pro debut to become world champion.
Well, that's another thing in your arsenal, Robert, that a lot of people don't know and you don't get too much credit for. I mean, you've done the training, a world champion yourself, but also your management skills. I mean, you know numbers. And I know Mikey knows numbers. Mikey negotiates Mikey knows numbers. Very
Right.
smart, and when he negotiated for himself, and you make sure. At first of all, I remember Bam was unsigned. He was with a couple of networks. They had their opportunity to sign him. They passed, and you kept telling him, "Man, don't sleep on this kid. You're gonna regret
Yeah.
it." Okay, so far, and what I didn't understand before he got signed, every card you put him on, he was outstanding. And yet, what else do they want? I know they want the bigger guys. Now he can fight for whoever he wants, almost anywhere he wants. But that didn't come overnight. That came with your negotiation skills. And like you said, you take care of that. A lot of people don't know that you handle that.
Exactly, it's not easy. There was fights where we had to travel to Tijuana to get a win over there. I was fortunate enough to have a good relationship with Mr. Honda when I first brought this kid into my gym, and I knew because of his weight division, being that he was going to be at first he was a 108 pounder. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, so I called Mr. Honda. I fought for Mr. Honda my first three professional fights, and I told him, I have this kid. This kid's special. So since his pro debut, Mr. Honda has been involved. He's the only one that believed in me and believed in what I was telling him, because he had no idea who Bam was. He just knew that my word was gonna be enough. And here in the States, he fought for Top Rank, he fought for PPC, he fought for Matchroom a few times before he got signed, and there was no interest. There was even a point where I talked to people that worked for Golden Boy, because at that time they had a champion from Nicaragua that was a 108-pound champion. Can't think of the name right now, but he was a 108-pound champion. And I talked to people that worked for Golden Boy, telling them, look, give me that opportunity. I have this kid that's special, and give me that title opportunity, and he wins, we'll sign with you. You'll be his promoter. And the response was, they're not interested. They passed on it. They're not interested. Then same thing with Top Rank. I work very close with Top Rank, but I told people at Top Rank, you guys got to sign this kid. They fought him. They put him on there during the bubble.
Yeah, I
He
remember
fought
that.
during the bubble. I believe it was like twice, and they all said, "Wow, this kid is special." But because of the weight division, it seemed like there was not a lot of interest. I kept telling them, "You got to sign him. You got to sign him." Oh, okay, yeah, we will, but never did. Then Mikey fights in Fresno and tells Eddie
Hearn.
Hearn, we'll do the, because Mikey didn't even want to fight. Honestly, Mikey didn't want to fight anymore.
Mikey took that
Mikey,
fight only for Bam, and Mikey probably
exactly,
got one of his lowest purses because he wanted
exactly,
Bam to get that opportunity. But I'll let you tell the story.
exactly. Mikey did not want to fight, and I told Mikey, this is going to be our opportunity for Bam to become world champion, because he was scheduled to fight for the world title that night on Mikey's undercard. So Mikey took the fight because Bam was going to fight for the world title, and that was our opportunity. There was nobody else giving us an opportunity, so we used Mikey's card to get Matchroom to put Bam on the undercard fighting for the world title. But I think it was like 1 week before the fight, we were notified that the champion had issues with his visa to travel to the States. So the fight went on. Mikey's, a week before the fight, it was too late for him to cancel. So we went on with the fight, and Bam still fought on the undercard, but just on a 10-rounder. But with the promise that his next fight would be February of next year in Arizona on the Cuadras versus Rungvisai undercard. So we were happy to be there. And then luckily, Rungvisai gets injured or got sick or something. And Kevin Rooney called me and told me, Robert, is Bam crazy enough to jump up 2 divisions to fight Cuadras for the world title? I didn't even ask Bam. I told Kevin Rooney, yes, make that fight happen. And he told me, aren't you supposed to, don't you want to call him first? I said, I don't have to, because I know his response. Let's do it. So we took it, and look, that was the start of, that's where, a star was born after that performance.
Absolutely. And then he had, I believe, one more fight after that, and then he broke the top 10 pound for pound list. It had 1 or 2 more fights after that. Nobody knew who he
Yeah, a couple more
now.
fights.
Now he's right now a household name. Broke the top 10 pound for pound list.
Yes, he is. This is, it's been a process. He's only 24. He just turned 24 in January, so he's still very young. Already, you know, if everything goes well, as planned. Obviously, I can't underestimate Gallo Estrada, but we do plan obviously on winning and moving on and bigger things. I think he definitely after Gallo Estrada, if everything goes well, I think he already at 24 he already is a Hall of Famer, beating Gallo Estrada, Rung Vesai, Cuadras, Sonny Edwards. I think just those four names itself gives him the right to be mentioned among the best top 5 or 6 pound for pound in the world, plus a Hall of Famer. I think he definitely earns it at 24. So after that, after Estrada, obviously, like I said, we're focused on Estrada first. But if everything goes well, I
Say it.
I, I just know that there's gonna be bigger and bigger fights for Bam. He already is a star. He'll be a superstar after that, and it's just I don't even know how far he's gonna. I think this kid has potential being a 4 to 5 division champion.
I thought you were going to go there and say, "Hey, after he moves up, I want to see Bam and the Monster."
You know what? They have brought it up, but right now we're not even focused on that because Inouye is a very, very dangerous fighter, very
Very
tough
dangerous.
fighter, and he's already up there in weight. I think by the time Bam is close to making it to 122 where Inouye is at, I think Inouye will probably be closer to featherweight or maybe even super featherweight. So I think if we ever end up facing somebody like Inouye, it'll be 4 years from now, 5 years from now, maybe where Bam is already up at 122, getting close to get to featherweight, and it's just one of those fights where like people are talking about Crawford and Canelo right now.
Yeah.
There's a couple of weight divisions. There's a couple of weight divisions in the middle, but the fight's so big that we wouldn't mind seeing it. So if we get to that point where the fight is that big, where Bam has to move up 2 divisions to fight Inouye, and the fight is that big, then maybe we could consider it. But right now, I also know that it's not time. It's not the moment. Bam still has a bright future. I think we still have so much that we can do before we even think about facing somebody like Inouye. We got to be smart too.
Robert, you know what, bro? You got so many freaking gifts. Because right now, okay, we talked about your training, former world champion, your management, the numbers, and now you come in as a boxing advisor just right now. You could have easily said, "Oh yeah, we'll take that," but you're keeping it real, and you become a boxing advisor, only on the Fighter's Voice, Robert. I mean, look at all these things right here. You're gonna get calls. Hey, Robert, I need you come in and be my advisor for my fighter. Boom, 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 left and right. Then you call Richard and say, Rich, I need an assistant. Help me advise this kid. And then I'm going to slide right in there.
Nah, you know what? And you know what? In reality, because we know boxing so well. I know how boxing works. I know how promoters work. I have an idea. I can't say I'm the best either because there's managers out there that really do a great job and they go out there to get the most money out there for the fighters and they're doing a great job. But I know the way the business is, so I maintain a good relationship with every promoter because I know I work with everybody, and I know that sooner or later we're gonna be in those fights where okay, Robert wasn't too hard on us, but right now he is, so they'll understand, and we'll get what we're worth. I also got to understand that early in their career, maybe there's not a lot of money out there. I'm not for 4 or 6 rounds. I'm not gonna be demanding $30,000 paydays because that's that's not heard of. But I know when my fighter's worth 30, 40, 50, $100,000, and I ask for it, and we're able to negotiate it. You got to know when your fighter's worth it. I can't ask for a big payday for a fighter that hasn't been performing very well. A fighter that goes out and performs but doesn't do very well. There's no way I could be demanding more. I do for the fighters that are going out there and knocking fighters out and looking sensational, then obviously, yes, I got to do my job. And the promoters know that. That's why I work so well with everybody.
I've heard people from PBC say great things. Brad Goodman says great things about you with Top Rank, and of course, Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn knows exactly what it's all about. He got to see it firsthand, first time in Fresno, or maybe the second time in Fresno, and then he knew I got to put this kid on contract. I got to make sure he belongs and represents Matchroom Boxing. Eddie Hearn has the power to take Bam anywhere around the world.
Exactly. That's what we're happy where we're at. We did do a few fight contract, and we're almost up. With our contract, but I know that they're gonna want to continue doing. And Bam is a very loyal fighter. If our contract is up, pretty soon, they're definitely gonna make an offer, and they'll even let us, shop somewhere else. But I know the way Bam works, and I know the way Bam thinks, and same thing with me. I'm gonna bring my fighter to where we are better off, and if it's really doing something with Eddie Hearn, we're gonna be 100% ready to do it, because they've been really good to us. They're the ones that first opened the door for us, and we're gonna remain with them.
I know they're very satisfied with Bam, and then some, because there was fights in there that were questionable. Like, man, is he ready? First of all, moving up those two weight
Correct.
classes, he still had his footwork, he still had his speed, still had his power. He was just hungry for that title opportunity. I remember speaking to him in Fresno when it fell through. The title opportunity in the fight
Correct.
that Mikey took, brother. I've seen Mikey. I've seen that look in him, brother. He was unmotivated for that fight, and the
Correct.
rest is
That
history,
is true.
whatever. But
Right.
when you're doing something, and then there's that disappointment. Mikey was, hey, everybody knows 100% Mikey. That fight goes 6 rounds.
Exactly. No, that's true. But hey, look, that's history.
Yeah,
Mikey's retired. Mikey's enjoying life. He's doing great. With his investments, he's doing great, enjoying life too. Because us as boxers, we have a tough career during our best years of our life. The years where we're supposed to be enjoying and loving and having fun and everything. Those are the years that we're focused on fighting, dieting, being responsible, training hard. And then when you retire, you want to enjoy it. And that Mike is enjoying right now. He's doing a lot of trips. He's in Mexico right now, with his family, his kids. He's enjoying life. He did the right thing with his money. He invested right, and he's gonna be set for the rest of his life. That's one thing that I would love to see every single fighter that becomes a champion. I would love to see them put their money away, save it, invest it, and live happily the rest of your life. It sucks that it doesn't happen all the time, but this is my brother, and I'm very happy for him. I'm very proud of what he accomplished as a boxer. But I'm very happy with what he's doing now, because I don't want to see him have to go back to work, find a job, or maybe want to fight, try to fight again just to get more money, because he already ran out of his money. We've told him many times, Mikey, you still got some fights left. Mikey, let's give it another try. And he says, no, there's no need for it. $2-3 million is not going to change my life. $2 or $3 million is not going to do much difference, in my life. So I'm happy the way I am, and I understand. I don't blame him either. Boxing's tough.
it really is, man. And you want to say, and also, a lot of people say life after boxing, but I like to say, Robert, life during boxing. Because when you say life after boxing, well, okay, but life is still life during boxing. It's how you handle yourself
Correct.
outside of the ring, etc. There's a couple fights I want to talk to you about. First of all, were you surprised, as everybody was, with the performance of Matthias?
Everybody was surprised, but I, watching his fights, I always had those little moments in the gym with my son and everybody, Chepe, Felipe, guys in the gym, saying that he was a monster, unbeatable. Nobody's gonna beat him. He'll knock everybody out. And I always said, look, he's got great power, and yes, he's very dangerous. And more likely, yes, he ends up knocking everybody out. But there's gonna be somebody that fights him smart, somebody that's not afraid of him,
Yeah.
somebody that's not afraid of his power, and is gonna fight smart. Land 3 punch combinations, hold him, push him, rough him up, and then wait for the ref to break it up and do it again. Beat him to the punch, hold him, rough him, push him up, and wait for the ref to break it up. And after the fight, I told everybody, what did I tell you guys? And then my son including, says, you were right. We were so high on him because we just knew how much power he had, and we thought he'd knock everybody out. But he was beatable, and Paro showed it. That he was beatable. I'm not saying he can't come back and fix a lot of things, because not just him. I think his trainer has to learn from this. They were too confident. They were too, at a point where you could even kind of see that they were a little too cocky, knowing that he's so strong, he's hit so hard that he's knocking everybody out. So they were so confident on him winning by knockout that they really forgot that there could be somebody out there that's going to take his punch and is going to fight smart and is going to beat him. They need to be prepared for that. And I think his trainer himself, this is going to teach them a lesson, and they're going to learn from it.
I think so too. I think he'll be a more respectful fighter. When I say respectful, no, I'm taking it a little bit more serious and giving his opponent a little bit more respect, which causes him
Right.
to do what he needs to do and make those adjustments inside of the ring. I've always said he reminded me of a Ike Corte with power. I mean, whenever I would see him.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No, it's true, because and Ike Corte got beat. He got beat a few times. So that's what I'm saying.
Oscar.
A fighter that hits so hard, he also needs to work on other stuff. You can't just think of him knocking everybody out. Perfect example right now. We're training with Virgil Ortiz, 21-0 with 21 knockouts. We don't train him because we know he's gonna knock everybody out. We train him in case he has to go the distance. In case he has to box, in case he has to work on his defense. We train him for everything. His dad always on top of his son to do good with defense, to do good, obviously, his offense, his conditioning. That's very important also. We don't want to think, he's going to knock everybody out before the 6th round and just be ready for 6 rounds. What's going to happen when the guy takes a punch and takes him to the late rounds? Then we're in trouble. We're not going to allow that to happen. We're not going to let that to happen. So we have to be ready for a 12-round fight. Even though his last 2 fights have gone 1 round each, we got to be ready for 10 or 12 rounds, because that's our job as a trainer.
Absolutely. I'm hearing he may return to the ring, and was it August 10th is what I'm hearing?
August 10th is the word. I don't think it's officially signed, but it is already very, very close to being finalized. But yeah, it looks like August 10th. From what I understand, I think so, in Vegas, some Mandalay Bay. I think Mandalay Bay in Vegas. That's where he'll be fighting.
Not only me, Robert, the whole world was looking forward to that fight. Him and Tim Tszyu was a great matchup.
Definitely. No. Everybody's excited about Virgil. He's had two wins this year. This is going to be his 3rd fight. Everything goes well. I know he'll probably fight one more time before the end of the year. So we're keeping him very busy this year.
And you guys are doing a great job doing so. Hey, Robert, I don't know if you can tell, I'm sunburned, bro. I was out doing it old school. I was out in the fields working, bro. Because you got to remember, when school stops, there's nothing going on in the summertime.
Right.
So I was out in the fields working, and I was waiting for Jose to show up, because he visits field work and stuff. I was like, man, Jose, where you at, bro?
Sure,
I mean, I was waiting for him, because the water and what have you.
Yeah, Central California is probably very similar to Oxnard. I remember I didn't do it because I was in boxing, but my sisters, my older brother, all the neighborhood, we all grew up in Oxnard, which is 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Everybody's parents worked in the strawberry fields. Everybody worked in the strawberry fields. So during the summer, all the kids, 10, 12-year-olds, everybody would go to the fields, work with their parents to make a little extra money. Like I said, I never did it because I was always in boxing. My dad always made sure I was running in the mornings and training in the afternoons. But my sisters, my brother, my other neighborhood friends, they all pick strawberries during the summer. So it's part of growing up in a community, in a city where there's nothing but field workers, a lot of farming and everything. We're gonna end up working in it. So nothing to be ashamed of. You got to be very proud of it. All those hard workers are the ones feeding the whole world.
Yeah, absolutely. Produce goes a long way. Goes a long way. Robert, what's your take on this? I mean, a fighter sometimes doesn't even sleep on it. Like in the NFL, if a coach loses a big game, he gets fired on the flight home. And I'm talking about Tank Davis. Everybody knew he was going to do what he needed to do. His opponent, it didn't go his way, and he fires his trainer. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, that was his first move coming out of his mouth. You're fired. I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, shouldn't they sleep on it, or why would you think that happened?
It happens often, in boxing. The fighters lose a fight, and right away they fire the trainer, thinking that it was the trainer's fault. I think in this case with Martin and what's the trainer's name? James.
Yes.
Derek James. I think it has to do something with Errol Spence. Errol Spence is Frank Martin's promoter, and Errol Spence fired his trainer. So I'm pretty sure it has something to do with Spence had already fired him. Now, you lose a fight. Well, you got to get rid. Let's go find somebody else. You got to come with me, and let's go find another trainer. It has something. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that. But it does happen a lot. I remember one thing that we remember with my son, and we've brought it up many times. After Mayweather beat Canelo, everybody was saying Canelo needs a new trainer. Canelo needs to learn more. Canelo needs to go to somebody with more experience. And he didn't listen to nobody. He's very loyal to Eddie Reynoso. And after that, look at everything they've accomplished. Look at everything they've done together. You have to be loyal. You have to be loyal to your trainer, the one that started you, the one that took you to the top. And you lose one fight, that doesn't mean that's the moment to fire your opponent. You have to know that, the fighter was just better than you. Going against Tank, God damn, you're going against one of the best fighters in the world, one of the hardest punchers in the sport. So you lose a fight, that doesn't, that guy just hits fucking hard. You can't, he was actually winning rounds. The first few rounds, he was winning. So he caught you, he knocked you out. I don't think this was a trainer's fault, but it happens. It's just the way boxing is.
I remember Bam said it one time because I spoke to him when he didn't get that title opportunity in Fresno, and he said, Richard, you got to trust the process. And he knew. He was disappointed, but it didn't discourage him from taking care of business. He said, I trust the process.
Exactly. You got to trust, the process. You got to believe in your team. We didn't get him that title fight that time in Fresno, but he still knew that nobody else was going to do it anyways. He stayed with us and believed in us. And look, next fight he became a champion. So it's a process. Martin might become a champion with his new trainer. Yes, I think he's got the skills to one day become a champion. But he would have been a champion with Derek James also. I think he's good enough to become a champion. With any other trainer. But he would have done the same thing with Derek James. I think Derek James is a great trainer. I think he's learned a lot in the last few years with Spence losing and now Martin, and he's got a couple other losses. I think he's learned a lot. Those are the moments where a trainer learns. When you get into a moment where they criticize you because you didn't stop the fight. They criticize you because your opponent didn't look good at all. Well, you got to learn from that, especially when all the past years your fighters have been winning. You've never experienced a loss, and then when that loss comes with Spence against Crawford, and it was so bad, so one-sided, everybody blamed the trainer. And if the trainer's strong enough, smart enough, he's going to learn from it. He's going to learn from those mistakes, and that's going to make him a better trainer.
I would think that you lose together, you win together, that after a loss, they would be even stronger together to say, hey, man, let's do this. I mean, let's fix this together instead of just all of a sudden I'm going to go left or go right. And, I know with Triple G and Abel Lopez, I believe it was had something to do with dollars. I'm not too sure the way that went down.
Abel Sanchez, yeah, something to do with I think if it wasn't for Abel Sanchez,
Abel
I
Sanchez,
don't
I'm
think
sorry,
Triple G
yes.
would have made it where he made it. But also, if it wasn't for Triple G, Abel Sanchez wouldn't have been the trainer that he became, because it was a team together. Maybe without Abel Sanchez, Triple G wouldn't have become what he became. And without Triple G, Abel Sanchez wouldn't have been the big, world class trainer that he became. So it works both ways. Both trainer and fighter working together and doing things together just makes them big stars. I'm telling you that I think that's the way it works. And it works both ways. They both have to support each other, help each other. When you lose, you guys go back together and just become better together.
Robert, I said Abel Lopez because in my hometown of Madera, Abel Lopez used to be a wrestler, from Madera High. So, Abel, if you're watching, my man, any Abel Lopez old school fans from Madera High Coyotes, hey, a shout out to Abel Lopez, Patrick Rangel, David Rosario. They all won state champions in wrestling. So I give a shout out because I knew that name just when it came out. I was like, okay, that's the wrestler. Listen, Robert, how many times do you get stopped and you're recognized more as for a trainer? A lot of people, it's not that they seem to forget. I don't forget because I remember those fights. Brother, they seem to forget that you were a former world champion. And it's more now the trainer side. I mean, it's just like life after boxing, life during boxing. Do you get more recognized as a world champion or as a trainer?
As a trainer, 100%. Obviously, I've been doing this for 20 plus years already, and all the new generations, everything. A lot of them don't even know I was a fighter. I remember when I first brought Brandon Rios. I think it was 2004 when I brought him into camp, into my house, to live in my house. He's seen my belt, my IBF, my NABF belt. Yeah. And he's like, and he asked, whose belts are those? I said, those are mine. And he didn't even know I was a champion. And this was in 2004. I had been retired 3 years, so it wasn't even long after I retired. Brandon had no idea I was a boxer. But nowadays, I get stopped a lot because of a trainer. There's very few times where somebody tells me, somebody, from our generation, I used to watch your fights. I used to love your fights. But most of the time, it's because I'm a trainer, not because I'm a fighter.
Two things, Robert. I mean, let's think big, because anything that we think, oh no, that'll never happen, or it may happen. Have you ever been approached, or why not have you ever been approached for a boxing movie? We'll say Creed 4. I mean, because you're a household name, you're a household face when it comes to the sport of boxing. You'd be on the big screen on there, and everybody would know who you were or who you are.
Yeah, well, honestly, I haven't been approached. I read a little, I think not too long ago, that I think Mark Wahlberg's going to do something on Chavez Sr.
Yeah.
Chavez Sr.'s live.
Yes.
So I wouldn't mind being maybe one of Chavez's opponents, maybe Azabache Martinez or one of his opponents. I don't know. I'm just, to just go out there and, or maybe the coach, maybe the trainer, something. I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I would love to, but I've never been approached.
Yeah, portray him. Remember the trainer? He was bald headed, so you may have to shave for that movie, put on a couple pounds. But I would love to see you do it.
Yeah, why not? I would love to. Hey, I'm open to doing it. If I get the call, I would love to do it.
Okay, so say tomorrow you get the call for Creed 4 or Creed 5, and when they need another background person on the microphone. I know Richard Ortiz is getting a call from Robert Garcia.
That's right, for sure. 100%.
Iron sharpens iron, my man. Sometimes it's okay to think outside the box, because I'm thinking, oh, Robert could have done that role. Or I'll see a boxing movie. I'm going, why didn't they use these guys around here? I mean, they're not going to outbid themselves. They're going to take the opportunity, and just everybody knows who you guys are. I mean, the Freddie Roaches, the Robert Garcias, you name it. Even Ricky did well. Congratulations to him. I mean, he got a world champion, on what was it, in London or on the undercard of Usyk and Tyson Fury, yeah. I believe it was. No, on the Deontay Wilder, when it was the 5 against 5.
Right, 5-5. It was
Ricky.
in Saudi.
That was good to see him. and with his
Yeah, good for him.
cruiserweight.
Yeah, fighter could fight. His fighter could fight. He's ready. He's ready.
Yeah, no, that was a good um, showcase for him. Now I'm going to mention
Correct.
the fighter Deontay Wilder. It is what advice do you give to him?
Look, Deontay Wilder has had a great career with a lot of big paydays. He's made really good money. He did this for his daughter, from what I
Mhm.
understand, his daughter, uh, and he said for the rest of his life, I think he should enjoy the rest of his life, enjoy his family, enjoy his daughter, parents, if he's to have, brothers, sisters, whatever, and just enjoy his life, because he accomplished more than a lot expected. I don't think a lot. He had great power, but never had the best skills. He just had that insane power that made him a world champion. So I wouldn't want to see him fight again. Obviously none of my business, but I wouldn't want to see him fight again. I would love to see him just retire and enjoy his life. Maybe if he wants to be involved in boxing, get involved. Maybe in guiding a few fighters, maybe advising some fighters, maybe managing some fighters. But yeah, I wouldn't want to see him fight again.
So there's still room for him in the sport of boxing, just not inside of the ring.
Yeah, and there's still a few big fights if he really wanted to. They could bring him back, get him an easy fight just to get him a win, and then get him a big fight against somebody like Anthony Joshua. But it's gonna be sad. I think it's gonna be sad. I think it won't look good. I don't think the results are gonna be good. So I wouldn't want to see that. Does he have a name big enough to come back and still get a fight or so? Maybe he can, but I just wouldn't want to see the results, because I think he's at a point where it's gonna be pretty easy, and just it's gonna be very few that we could actually think he could beat.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not see him do it.
No, I agree with you. I just wanted to get your take and what you thought about the whole you know sometimes you have those skills and sometimes you don't, and sometimes I don't want to see it. I want a good ending where he's able to walk away and say, hey, I gave my best. I gave the fans exactly what they wanted. Dynamite knockouts, and like you said, he won the world title with just one
Exactly.
arm, one hand,
See,
with that power.
and
Fun to watch, very
that's
exciting.
what's sad about boxing, that sometimes us as trainers, we have to tell our fighters it's time. The fighters want to keep going, keep trying, but we got to tell them it's time. You're not supposed to do it anymore. There's fighters that train hard, but maybe they don't have the talent, the skills, the qualities to become big. And we also have to tell them. We have to tell them, look, boxing is not for you. Let's do something else. Go back to school, a trade, something, because boxing is not for you. It sucks, especially in the gym where you have guys like Bam, like Virgil, like Rayo, Murataya, all this guy, Jose Ramirez, and then you have all the younger fighters that want to be like them one day. It's sad when we have to, and we've done it before, when we have to tell them, look, boxing is not for you. You got to find something else to do.
No, I know. Hey, I hear you, and that's almost a responsibility. Well, Robert, I'm looking forward to the fight Saturday. I know it's going to be great. This is fight week, but let's not sleep on Friday, November 28th. Fernando Vargas Jr. And then also on the card is you got Nathaniel Rodriguez. Marv Nation Promotions proudly presents professional boxing at its finest, and you can see it live on the Zone. And don't forget about Saturday, Bam Rodriguez going after another bout. Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, Robert Garcia. You mentioned those names. It's already iron sharpens iron, sharpens iron, sharpens iron, sharpens holding up that new belt. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Correct.
looking for Bam to be
It's gonna be
victorious. I'm looking for that footwork to befuddle and frustrate his opponent. And at the end of the day, don't sleep on Bam's power, because
yeah, it's gonna be a
there
great
be
night of
blame.
boxing, like you said. Friday night with Fernando Vargas Jr. Out of El Paso. I have a really close friend in El Paso that told me, "You think you could make it?" Right, the day before. I said, "Look, it's just impossible. I have to be in Arizona." But we'll be tuning in. Just a reminder for people that are going to be watching Bam's fight. you got to start early since the beginning, because I have besides Bam, I have three more fighters on that card. I have Arturo Cardenas, who's going to be on the television portion of the main card. But then on the undercard, which are still going to be televised on the zone, we're going to have Gabriel Murataya, 11-0, and I have Leonardo Rubalcaba fighting a 6-rounder. He's 8-0. So we have 4 fights on that card. So you guys got to start early. The fights might start like at 4 or 5 p.m. So start early so you can watch all of our GBA fighters.
Robert, those are great opportunities for these guys. They get some television time. I remember announcing some of these guys, and yeah, you got quite a stable, Robert. I mean, you really do, up and comers, and it's like, you go down and you nourish the process, world champions, and negotiation. I mean, a lot of people don't know what goes behind this. You don't just wake up and become a champion. There's a process, just like Bam Rodriguez said.
That's my system. Look, I have all my young fighters starting. If I go to Mexico, I fight them in Mexico. I build them up little by little. I know when they're ready to step it up to the next level, to bring them to a top rank, to bring them to a max room. I know when it's time. Like an Arturo Cardenas or a Leonardo Rubalcaba or a Gabriel Morataya, I have 10 more of those that are still fighting in Mexico, that are still building up the record to one day get that opportunity. Then we have the ones that started off in small local shows here in Southern California, where they're not making a lot of money, where they have to sell their tickets to get paid, and now their next fight is August 13 for top rank. Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez is one that I want you guys to keep an eye on. Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez will be fighting on ESPN July 13. Raymond Murataya will be the co-feature on that event, and on that same card I have Art Barrera, another one of the ones that you worked with, and announcing their fights. Chop Chop and Art. And Art are two that you've been to their fights. That's the way I build them, little by little, and then when they're ready, I take them to the next level. And now is their opportunity to go out there and show their skills, their talent. On the same card, we also have Javier Cimarron, who's going to be in that card. So that July 13th date on ESPN top rank card, I'm also going to have 4 guys on the card.
Man, Robert, I don't know how you do it, man, and you have no complaints. You love it. I mean, you're passionate about it. Real quick, because he's coming on later on the show this evening. What do you think about the matchup with Jacobs and Shane Mosley Jr.?
Well, look, it's a good matchup. I think Jacobs is obviously a former champion, a really good fighter at his time. For some people, maybe top 10, top 15 pound for pound, in the list. So he was a great fighter, had great fights. I think maybe towards the end of his career, Mosley Jr., has his dad, the skills. I think, the youth, I think he might, it's going to be an interesting fight. I don't know. It's a fight that I'm excited about. I read about it, and I definitely want to see it, because it's 2 fighters that have already had really good careers, but Jacobs has been, the bigger name, the big star, and Mosley has been the son of a legend who never made it to where the dad was, but still was good enough to compete. So it's one of those good competitive fights. It's going to be a good, exciting fight.
Any comment or any words for Shane Mosley Jr., who'll be coming on the show later on this evening?
Well, he's from Southern California, so definitely have to support him. I know them. I know his dad. His dad and I trained together, and in the U.S. National team. We competed together in tournaments, USA versus Germany, different national tournaments. So, I know him very well, so I'm definitely going to be cheering for him. Go out there and do your job, man. Always be in good shape. Never going to fight not knowing that you're in great shape, because that's the most important thing. You have to be dedicated. You have to be disciplined enough to know that if it's a 10-rounder, you're ready for 12 rounds, because if it goes the distance, you want to go out there and finish the last round stronger than the first round. So, fighters could win fights like that, even though you're in there with maybe better fighters. But if they tire out, you're gonna beat them. So you got to be in great shape.
Hey, the platform is yours. Any words that you want to end this the show with today, and what can we expect from Bam this Saturday?
Well, you know what? It's going to be a great fight, man. You know, I'm excited because Gallo Estrada is a Hall of Famer already. He's a star, pound for pound, one of the most talented fighters in Mexico at this moment. I know as a star, Canelo, Pitbull Cruz, they're big stars in Mexico. But I think talent wise, I think Gallo Estrada is probably the most talented fighter because he's a full complete fighter. He knows how to box. He knows how to counter punch. He knows how to attack if he has to. So he's full of experience, and that's one thing we know we're going against. We're going against the experience. But I think Bam's skills, speed, power is gonna take him to get the win. I know it's not an easy fight, but obviously I do expect my fighter to win and just to move on, to bigger things. But people watching on the zone and people there in attendance are going to enjoy probably one of the best fights of the year.
Robert, I've never asked you this before. As a fighter, I've asked you this before. But when you're taking that ring walk with your fighter, what are you feeling? I know you're excited about this fight because I can tell.
You know what? I'm excited. Walking into the ring and especially with a big crowd. In Arizona, we're gonna have maybe 10,000+ people. I don't know, 10 to 12,000 people, maybe even more. Just walking in there and hearing the crowd. Even though I know for a fact there's gonna be mostly people going for Gallo Estrada because we're in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're very close to Sonora, where Gallo is from. So most of the crowd is going to be cheering for Gallo, but just it doesn't matter. The fact that you have a main event fighter walking into a 15,000 people arena, that just gives you the feeling like we made it. Look at where we're at. I've experienced that going in there against Mayweather with Maidana, going in there against Pacquiao with Brandon Rios and Margarito. Arenas full of, with Margarito and Pacquiao, I believe there was like 50,000+ people. Mikey versus Spence, 47,000 people. Just the walk, going in there and hearing the love that the people give you, that's the best thing. I don't get nervous anymore. I'm excited, but just hearing the love from the people and the cheers, even if it's against you, it's just something special.
I bet it is.
Which one's the most? Which one's very special?
Which one?
Walking into the arena with Jose Ramirez
in Fresno.
In Fresno. My son, Pita, and us, we always say, you hear the love that the fans, they're not just fans. They love Jose. They love their hero, and knowing that it's mostly hardworking people. They worked hard to pay for their ticket, so they love it even more. You know what I mean? So it's just exciting, man. It's just awesome walking into an arena and having 15,000 people cheering for you. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been to some big fights, and there's nothing like Fresno where I'm thinking, and I'm looking around going, this is loud. I mean, once that music drops and he comes, he's taking his time going into the ring. These fans, they go berserk. I don't care if they're white. I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're Mexican. I don't care what nationality they are. Like you said, he's their spokesperson. He's their voice. He's to them the hero. Everything that they want to be, as if to say, a part of me is also inside of that ring. That's how much pride goes in once he walks in that ring with his fans, followers, and supporters.
Very true. That's the way it is. That's the feeling we get when we walk into the arena with Jose Ramirez, because it's all hardworking people that work their ass off to buy their ticket. Yeah. So they're there because they love it. If you go to Vegas, most of the time, especially the ringside area, it's all full of just celebrities and money people that it's just an event to be there. With Jose, it's hardcore fans. That's what you see and that's what you hear. And that's the love, the feeling that we get walking into the ring with Jose.
Hey, man. Glad to hear from you, Robert. I appreciate you. You always come on the show. You always make time for the fighter's voice. Me personally, we spoke off camera. You gave me advice and you said, Richard, just don't worry about certain things and keep doing what you're doing. And I can't say a lot of people did that, but you did. And I remember that. It's in my corazón. And hey, the things that you do, not only for the sport of boxing, you really mean it when you give advice to other people, or when you take the time to come on the podcast. It goes a long way.
Definitely, bro. Anytime. You know that. I'm there for you, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm here for you too. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. This Friday, make sure you tune into DAZN. Fernando Vargas Jr. is on the card, live on DAZN. You also got Nathan Rodriguez on the card, Marv Nation Promotions. And don't you sleep and don't make any excuses. Do not leave your set Saturday. Matchroom Boxing, Bam Rodriguez taking on Estrada, and it's going to be a great fight. It's going down, and you know what? Only one hand can be raised, and when it's raised, you're going to hear a bam. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guest, Robert Garcia, former world champion trainer, manager, advisor, scout, whatever you call it, whatever you want to call him. He has a lot of hats, whether he wants to wear them or not, but he does. And now he's a store owner to add to his repertoire. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Thumbs up.
Hey, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember,
it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, and all the crew, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.